Hello, friends. Well, we've had 2 weeks of the Six Nations, so I thought I'd just put in my tuppence about the controversy which has arisen, especially the one in the game between France and Scotland at the end, the try that never was, uh, or which was not allowed anyway, or perhaps disallowed is a better word, since at one point it seemed to be allowed. Okay, so. Let's think about this as from the first principles, as it were. I come from, I'm an age where I remember international games as well as regular games, such as I take part in still, had no video, TMO, television match official. They had no assistant referees. They simply had a referee and two touch judges, and the touch judges were simply to judge the line of touch. They had no part in identifying foul play on the field or anything else for that matter. So in a way, it was a much simpler era, unencumbered by technology. And of course, referees made mistakes, but one assumed their good faith. And by and large, that was a correct assumption, so that if they did make a mistake, they weren't doing it to do one side down and favor the other side unfairly. And of course, it was enshrined in the laws of the game, that I believe the phrase was, the referee shall be the sole judge of fact and law. So that was all quite straightforward. And so there were no television replays in the old days. And if the referee said it was a try, it was a try. And if he said it wasn't a try, it wasn't a try. And everybody said, oh, I see, okay. And then everyone sort of moved on one way or the other, happy or not. The trouble now is you've got all this technology which allows you to replay things endlessly. And I think at the end of the Scotland-France game at Murrayfield, was it 4 minutes, I heard, that the video was replayed? I mean, that's an awful long time for, if it was a 10-second worth of video, to replay that over 4 minutes, it would get pretty tedious. And of course, in the end, you're only going to please the supporters of one side. So it rather prolongs the agony, I think, and it doesn't make for a more entertaining or enjoyable spectacle, if that's what the aim is. And I think it should be from World Rugby's point of view. So there is that. So whether in the broader sense, technology is actually killing the game or not doing it a great service. Well, as far as the actual decision went, let me see if I've got this right. First of all, the referee, Nick Berry, who is featured in the recent video about called Whistleblowers about referees. He featured quite prominently in that. Australian referee said, well, his on-field decision was that there was no try, but he referred it to the TMO in case the TMO saw something different. Okay, so he, I suppose, therefore did not see the ball grounded, although he probably felt that a try had been scored. It's just that he hadn't seen it. At least that's the way I look at that. And then the television match official looked at the video, and certainly at one point he did actually say, I can see the ball grounded. So he'd more or less decided that it was a try, and then he said, oh no, wait, let's have another look, and he had another look, and then he disallowed it, or rather he agreed with the original decision by the referee. So I mean, it's an absolute mess, really. The phrase "too many cooks spoil the broth" springs to mind, for one thing. I mean, obviously the assistant referee, I don't think the assistant referees in this case had very much to do with it, but they also get involved with foul play and what have you. And really, I think the game is tying itself in knots quite a lot. And there are too many stoppages. More stoppages means that people don't, the bigger players don't have to run so much, or they get a breather, should we say. And that makes the game a little bit more dangerous when they are playing. So really, there are various things going on here that are not great. And then has been pointed out also, referees simply don't referee the scrum nowadays. You can put the ball in as crooked as you like. The scrum half can put it into his own second row, frankly speaking, and I've seen it done. And the referee won't say boo. Just let the play go on. In other words, the scrum has been relegated or demoted, depowered to simply a means of restarting the game, which when you consider you've got slightly over half the total number of players on the field involved in it, is a bit farcical, to say the least. I want to see scrums being properly refereed, where the ball has to be put in straight, and if it's not put in straight, that's a penalty. Let's say, I don't know, an indirect free kick or whatever, against the team that's put the ball in crooked. I really do think that that's the only way that you're going to get scrums back to anything like they used to be, which was real contests. And that's been a hobby horse of mine. And I know it used to be one of Brian Moore for many years. Although I think people got tired of him talking about it, or he felt that people were tired of it. But I think it's really important. And of course, I'm a forward myself, normally prop or second row. In Japan, they tend to put me in second row or lock. At any rate, that's another thing I have about refereeing. So, yeah, the attempts of World Rugby to make the game, I don't know, faster and more a better product. Oh dear, do I hate that word in the context of rugby? Sometimes have exactly the opposite effect to what they intend. And then, of course, we've got Scotland now sending emails to World Rugby complaining about the decision, which I don't know if that's a wise thing to do, because it might antagonize World Rugby. I do remember in 2019 they had some wee stramash about the game with Japan and whether it would be played or not. And it's probably not a good thing to upset World Rugby. Not a good idea. But what I think is important for Scotland is to make sure they're investing properly in things like, for example, trials for schoolboy players. Now, I have a certain inside knowledge on this one because a nephew of mine's recently went to a Scottish quotation marks trial in Nottingham. And he found it a disappointing experience because, as if I understood it correctly, they didn't play a game at all. They just played touch rugby, which is, I mean, Nottingham's a great place, and fine, but to go all the way up there just to play touch rugby, if it's supposed to be a Scottish trial, seems really bizarre to me. At least have a game, if you can muster enough, of course, interested people to have a game. So I really think there's something not quite right there. I know that the exiles, especially those in England, have been a major part of the Scottish team for a while. And of course, you've got all the South Africans and what have you, Van der Merwe and Schumann and so on. But so I understand that Scotland knows that exiles are important, but that surely should extend to the schoolboy level. Anyway, yeah, there's more to say about that, but I think I'll just leave it there. Okay, so I think I've probably said enough this time. But anyway, I wish the game would go back a bit to its roots. And frankly, I'm a bit Luddite about all this technology. I don't like it very much. I don't think it helps the game very much. I don't think more than one referee helps the game either, if I'm completely honest about it. All right, well, I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much for listening, and bye now. Cheers.